Hey, you're now tuned in to Underdog Talk. I'm your host, Eric Jones Jr., the underdog with the heroic heart. And I have conversations with successful underdogs. And today I have Deontae P. How's it going, man?
Man, I'm blessed and highly favored. That's all I say. How about yourself, Eric?
Man, I'm good. I'm a little bit tired. I had to take a nap before got on here. I was like, good. I'm glad it said like 8:30 so I could take me a little nap after work. So how's the weather? Is it raining? Is it cold? Like you out there in around Seattle. So how is the weather out there?
Yeah, man. It's honestly, it's always a raining kind of day. I'm still trying to look for the switch where I can turn off the faucet and we get a little sunshine come through here. Man, I still haven't found it. Let me tell you what.
Yeah. Here in Indianapolis, it's cold today. It was cold today. It was like kind of rainy, but it was cold. Like you it looked like it wasn't cold, but you go outside. Oh, wait a minute. Let me go back in and put something else on.
Just snuggle
Yeah.
right on you.
But we haven't had like a crazy winter though. Like we haven't had any snow. We had snow around Christmas and that was it. So it's been cool. I don't like snow and cold. I take cold, not snow. Because people
Hmm.
don't know how to drive, just all kind of stuff.
Yeah, tell me
But
about
it's not like when we were kids though, we used to love the snow. Now as adults, it's like, nah, I'm
it.
good. I don't
Nope.
want none of that.
Hmm.
So before we get into our conversation, today's episode is brought to you by Christian Dewan. That's my clothing line, me and my son. You can get t-shirts, hoodies, sweatshirts. If you use the promo code Underdog Talk. Underdog is spelled UNDERDAWG and talk. You get 15% off at christiandewan.com. And Christian is DEJUAN.com. So, Mr. I'm gonna just call you DP. We're gonna just keep it short. That's what
Perfect.
your name is. So you're the influential mentor.
Hmm.
So where were you at? What was life like before you even got to the point of even thinking about being a mentor?
Man. Yeah, that's a fantastic question. I was not like, let's put it like this. If there was like the way being top of the class in elementary school, man, I did not know how to get there. I was at the bottom of the class. I was trying to figure out, I was actually the kid in the hallway trying to figure out how to get to class still, essentially. That's where I was at. I mean, I didn't, never would I have ever imagined myself to be in this position right now. It was something where I was just in a place in a time, honestly, what I really think it came down to is I just had a massive burning desire, like an obsession inside me. But I was, man, I had my mother raised both me and my brother as a single parent. We, really didn't have much, honestly. Went, bouncing from apartment to apartment to apartment, and cost of living out like in California was just astronomical. So, my mom said, "All right, pack your bags. We're heading up north." I said, "When do we stop?" She said, "When you feel the temperature change." Man, by the time we got into Seattle, I said, "Oh, forget this. This place is ice cold." She said, "That's it."
That's funny.
So yeah, I mean, it was a day-to-day struggle. Just personally, like I suffered from a lot of, I don't want to say it was trauma per se, but a lot of just lessons that just allowed me to think a certain way, and I was always stuck thinking that way. Behind my dad's philosophy was you had to be good at something or don't be good at it at all. And if you decide half it, like it was a smack. Like you had to suspect it. So yeah, it was always a little up and down. I mean, as well, the low times had some really up times, but I mean, really, man, I mean, those low times is where it creates character out of it. You know what I mean, Eric?
Yeah, definitely. And like you were saying with your dad, that's what I tell my kids. Like, don't do something and you gonna half ass it. Like, give everything you got. You ain't gotta be the best at it, but
Mm-hmm.
9 times out of 10, if you give everything you got, you're gonna be at least good. You're gonna be at
Yep.
least decent to be on the court or whatever it is that you want to do. And I tell my son that, like he played basketball. It's like, dude, you good at shooting. Stop working on that.
Yeah.
Work on what you're not good at. Oh, that's hard. That is supposed to be hard. And in life, like you learn that as a kid, but then as a parent, you have to install that in your kids because
Oh.
sometimes nowadays they give out trophies for just being on a team. It's like what? They got they got trophies. They didn't win a game all season. They didn't even score. They got a trophy.
Mm-hmm. I
Why
didn't
are
see
we
my.
celebrating losing? Why are we not celebrating the lesson? Hey, you guys suck. You guys suck this year. I'm sorry. You guys didn't score and you don't get a trophy.
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah.
will make the kid go back into go back into the gym. So I was raised by a single mother. So I like we were like middle, like we were above poor. Like we were
Okay.
literally just right there. So it wasn't too bad, but we kind of we were always at my grandma's house. Like we always, like my mom was always at work. So my grandma lived, we call them the old folks projects. So I learned a lot of lessons and stuff. So not like The Wire, but it was like little kids seeing stuff that you shouldn't see at certain ages outside and stuff. So I definitely understand what you mean about that. So how was like the change as a kid? You in California, you walk around with your flip flops, your ankles and legs out, everything, and then you go boom. Okay, you in Seattle. It's cold as all get up. It's raining all day. Like how was that like transformation? What like how old were you? Were you like a young kid or were you like a teenager?
Yeah, so I was about like 6 years old because I was born in '98, and that's already scary to tell people because they're like, "Oh my God, you're born in '98." I'm like, "Yeah,
I
but
know.
last
I
month,
was bad in '98. I was a bad kid in '98.
I feel it, but yeah, man, I felt like I had to trade out my boots. I felt like I had to trade out my flip flops for boots. You know, you got rid of your t-shirts and you had to start putting on coats. And I mean, eventually, it's like the only reason I'm wearing a shirt today is just because you just get used to it after X amount of years, right? So yeah, no, it was a big change, and even just culturally too. I mean, I'm usually used to seeing like a bunch of kids rocking around like wearing the Dodgers hats, wearing the Sox hats. Now I'm coming up here, everyone's wearing Mariners, Seahawks, and there wasn't too many like color folks out this way too. So it was like interesting. I was like, whoa, what is this place? So I'm going to school and I'm like, I have no idea. Nobody knows what gumbo is. Nobody know what jambalaya was. I was scared on my mind. So it was definitely a weird transformation. I think it probably got on my brother the most, my brother's nerve the most, because he's a couple years older than me, right? And it got onto him the most just because he had to change me. I was just like, I'm still trying to figure out what the heck we're doing here. When do we head back, right? So yeah, no, it was something where, like I'll tell you this one fun story. It was I've never seen snow. Like we were talking about how like you prefer cold days versus snow days. Oh, this was my first snow experience we had. We were out driving, right? We're going to the store. We walk in. It's just raining, right? We come out and we have like at least 2 inches already packed up. And my mom's just looking over at us like, I don't know how to drive in this. I mean, we're just walking home then. No joke. We put on our shoes, get our, water boots on, start walking 14 miles home.
Dang.
She didn't play. And I was like, okay, well, that was the first moment I said, yep, I don't like the snow thing.
Yeah, wow. I mean, as a parent, I can understand that, but 14, but you didn't have cell phones. You didn't have where, hey, can you come get me? None of that. So yeah, hey, we about to truck it, kids.
Yep.
That's crazy. That's crazy. It's like, hey, she looking at y'all looking at her. Well, what you gonna do? What you gonna do? It's like, shoot, we don't know. We never seen this before. So that's super. That's funny.
Yeah.
That definitely. So I'm from Michigan City, Indiana. So
Oh.
more white people than black people, but it's still kind of almost even. So my neighborhood was all white people. Like I lived around all white people, a couple black people here and there. So it was like I grew up being cool with white people, certain white people, but then it's like we got the world where it's like black and white. So it was kind of different. Like I never really grew up. I mean, I know racism involved and all that, and I've been in racial situations, but it was like for me, it's like they cool. Like you got some that's want to be like us, we get it. Then you got some that's the closest friends was the ones that just was themselves. Because we all used to play basketball and we, kick it. One dude, his mom worked for the mayor. My mom worked at a retail store. Another dude, mom worked at like a bank or something. Like we all was different, but we all was friends. So I never kind of looked at the world like black and white until I got older and really understood it. So it wasn't like a culture shock because like Indiana's white. So like when I went to college though, it's like, okay, what these cornfields? Why it's nothing out here. Walmart is 8 miles away. What is going on? Like, no, this ain't like I went to a school called Vincennes, Indiana. Vincennes University in Vincennes, Indiana. I was like, what in the world? And that's when you really deal with that racial. Yeah, them country white folk. Oh, okay, mom, yeah. I'm not gonna stay down here too long. Yeah. So oh man, I'm still thinking about that snow story. Like,
yeah, no, man. I mean,
that's different because here, hey, we good. Like, it's crazy here in Indianapolis, right? So when snow comes, it's like, oh my God, they don't know how to drive. My mom like, yeah, it's 6 inches out here. Mom, where are you going? I'm going to the store. Going to the store. It's 6 inches. She talking about, yeah, the snow up to my knee, but you outside. That's how it's different. So I definitely get it. Like, you know, you guys ain't used to that. That's funny. I could have wished to see some y'all expression
Oh,
like, oh my God.
oh man. I mean, it was like, I think it was a couple years ago, and I understand it now being like a lot older.
Yeah.
Was we had another snowstorm that happened like back, I think like 2020 or 2019, something like that, right?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you just see cars just left on the highway. Like it looks like if you were watching I Am Legend, it was like watching I Am Legend. Like there was this cars left on the highway, like it was nothing. Everyone just like said, all right, gonna park up, call tonight. Like what?
Yeah, yeah, that's and it's like that though. Like in certain areas, like my sister, she lives in California, so she's used to the warm weather. She came back home was like, yeah, the fact that I gotta warm my car up just to go somewhere is not settling well with me. So it's you know I'm like, you grew up here. She's like, yeah, but I'm used to hopping in the car and going. So that's funny, like the different places that you go and like that you would have to deal with. Like I'm used to the cold. So I could go somewhere warm and be like, oh, I'm good. Like I ain't going nowhere where it's cold. Like, yeah.
No.
So you say you were sick. So how was like going to school? How was teenage years and like going to school?
Oh man, yeah. See, that's where I got a little reckless because I couldn't. So my brother, my brother and I, like our adjustments were way a little different. He was more ruthless and he acted out a lot more. Like myself, though, I was very quiet, but I had like stuff I was doing in the background, stuff like, you shouldn't be doing, hanging out with the wrong kids, right? Like I said, if I was trying to find my way in the hallway to how to get to class, I mean, clearly I found my way just out the door to the left, up where the block is, go hang out at my friend's house for hours, right? Yep. But it was, man, yeah, no, it was kind of a challenge. It was like, because the biggest thing is that everyone always just looked at me like I was different. I knew I was different from the beginning. I didn't know why though. So in a way, it felt like I was always put in obscurity. Like people are always put in those obscure situations. Like I'm put in obscurity because I know that I have seen a lot, experienced a lot just from my upbringing. But now that here I am and I don't know how to express these feelings, like I'm like, okay, well, I just got to start dabbling in everything, right? I tried playing sports. So like, and every kid, right? And just like you said, there's a bunch of, white kids and they see the like, only like, I call myself the fly in the milk, And then they were just like, hey, yeah, we'll pick you for basketball. Oh man, I got picked for basketball. It was the last time I ever got picked first for basketball. Now I got picked last because they're like, man, you don't got hops. You don't got game. They did me dirty like that. And I was like, nope. So I said, all right, on to the next thing. I'm going to go try to hang out with the smart kids, right? I'm going to go try to read the books. How fast can we get through them? And I remember we had this whole challenge of like, all right, let's all try to read The Great Gatsby as fast, within a day. And I was like, yeah, no, so this one ain't for me either. So I put that on the back burner.
Yeah.
So it was weird because I was really just trying to find my place. And the truth is I never did outside of like high school. Outside of high school, man, my mom was that kind of person that just kept me home all the time. She didn't want her babies getting hurt, this and that. My brother, I felt like he could go out, do whatever he want, and he was good to go, right? Me being the youngest, we have to protect me. Like I was the golden child. So I remember there was a time where I decided to say, all right, I'm going to go out and not even hit my mom up. And I go see one of my friends. His name is Jordan. I did not realize his family is like all Filipino and all this, man. They were having like the best like cooking of a lifetime. Like I'm talking like mom, aunt, everybody in the whole family was just there in this little like 600 square foot apartment. Like it felt like a hut, like when I got in there. But that was my first like experience like with, wow, dude, there's a lot more than just, like I said, black and white. Man, I actually grew up with that family for a long time and they actually took care of me a lot. So they kept me like, they were kind of like my second parents. Like they kind of kept me directed. So I didn't feel like, I was going too far this way, too far that way. I still did just because that was just in my nature of wanting to go expand and grow. Cause like, hey, you can't hold me back. But yeah, no, there was even this one other obstacle that even happened when I was a lot younger in my teen years. Right. I think this was right before, just like a couple years right before even I was leaving high school. It was where I had my first, what was it? It was like, you call it really what you want. It was like my first like racial experience where I felt like oppressed by one of the teachers inside the classroom because I was told I had a weapon, this and that. And it's just like you go through I go through this whole series, and I couldn't say anything because it's their word versus mine, right? No one wants to listen to me, this and that. So I just said, cool. And that's where I decided, said, okay, I'm gonna drop out of school then. I'm gonna go off, I'm gonna do my thing. And literally that night, Eric, I was on the brink of packing my bag. I wasn't gonna tell anybody I was about ready to leave. And I didn't know where I was gonna go, but I just said, any place but here. I can't keep doing this for this long. And then I just had a voice in me say, why give up now? You know? And that was the thing where I was just like, I know I was made for more. I know there's something. There's just still something. It keeps me up every day. Like that's what gets me out of bed, is that I know there's still something. Even though I know I'm working on this idea right now, this thing that's taken me, I'm able to attract and empower people. But man, it's just right now, I just still know that, man, there's still something more behind there. I don't know what it is yet, right? But I'm breaking out of that obscurity, right? People know who I am. You know, I reached out to you, and here we are doing this, you know? And what a pleasure it's been, man. Even listening to your podcasts, listening to even your testimonies, your stories of what you went through, man. I mean, sheesh, it's got me just beyond belief.
Yeah, and I definitely, like, I resonate with you, but I was the older sibling, so I don't know what it's like to be baby. Definitely don't. I had to do all the chores. I had to, yeah, it was more on me. So I was kind of like your brother. I did what I wanted. Like, man, I'm whatever. Like, whatever, mom. Like, I ain't really on too much with you. But my mom was like strict but cool. Like, it was weird. Like, she was strict on like stuff, but she was cool as a parent. I think she kind of understood I was a boy. I was gonna do me anyways. So she just tried to keep my head on straight to, stay in school. Cause I was a moment in 10th grade where it was like, hey, fella, it don't look like you're gonna be graduating if you don't get your shit together. And she took me to my pastor. My pastor, he was at the time my best friend. It was his dad. And so he wasn't coming at me like a pastor. He was coming at me like a dad. And I remember I was crying, and my mom, like, later was crying, like, hey, can you just graduate? I was, all right, I could do that. I guess I could do that for you. And I didn't. I graduated with a 1.7.
I feel that.
Yeah, but look, I had more credits than the 40 that you were supposed to get. Like, I had more than what you were supposed to get. I just had bad grades. I'm like, whatever. So I definitely get that. And then, like, fitting in. I think because I have the gift of gab, I could fit in with everybody. Like, I'm cool with as an adult. You could put me in any room, any race. If they speak English, we good. Like, we gonna have a conversation. And I had to learn how to not just talk but speak. And you understand that, being a speaker, like, you can't just go up there, hey, I got a cool story and I overcame it, and they're gonna be like, all right, shut up and get off the stage. Why did y'all bring him here? You know what I'm saying? So as growing up and going through all the obstacles that we went through, that was preparing us for where we're at now. So you look back on it and you're like, man, I had to go through this, I had to go through that, but I never gave up. And now being a teacher and then being around kids, it's like, hey, man, I get you don't like school, but you need to learn about education. Yeah. You need to learn about educating yourself. Even if you don't go to college, you still got to educate yourself if you want to, get further in life. And that's where I didn't understand that. I'm sure as a shorty, you didn't understand that. Like, whatever. Y'all just want me to do this and get a job. Because I look at it now like it'd be people, oh, I got these degrees. That's cute. I don't got no degrees and we work in the same job. What you talking about? What you talking about, Willis? Like, it was a lady I work with. She used to come in my head, and I used to all those degrees, but we work. You might get a little more than me, but we work at the same job. The same job. I'm not understanding what's going on with that. So, man, as a teenager in college, I mean, not teenager, but early adulthood, how was life? Like, where did you because you're kind of young, so where did you kind of like switch to not being hanging out and getting to where you're at, going down the path you're at now?
Oh, I'm sorry. I think we cut out. I think it was my internet.
No, it's good. Look, I know how I got the gift of gab. I seen that it was messing up. I kept going and kept talking until you got back. So we good.
Clutching me. Sorry, I missed the question.
So as like a not teenager, young adult, how did you kind of like switch? Where was the moment? Did you go to college? Like, what moment or thing that happened that made you really want to turn to where you're at now? Because you're still
Yeah.
kind of, how old are you? Still kind of young.
Oh, I'm only 24. I'm still
Yeah,
I'm
so
still a
yeah,
young mustache.
yeah. Woo, Lord, oh man. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little older than
Mm-hmm.
you, just a little bit.
Well, so I'll put it like this, because this is where I really transformed it into what I did today was that I had the same situation. That, man, I was coming out in tears. I was crying and this and that because I wasn't even past the 7th grade yet, and I was still freaking out. I was like, man, I can't graduate and this and that, because no one in my family's ever hasn't graduated on time. My brother, he got a GED, by the grace of God, somehow with a point nine, decimal 9. That's how he got his. My mom, she just said, I'm done. Everybody else gave up. And so with me, I was like, well, it's something I just wanted, and I cared, but I didn't care. But I remember I just had this conversation, actually with actually a really good friend of mine, till today. His name's Tyler Monk. And me and him had a conversation because he was in my lit focus class, my math focus class. And I always hated having that because I didn't have electives, right? And he was just like, you're going to have bad days, but, don't let the grades make up, who you are. And it was just kind of like at that moment, I was like, you know what? I'm having all these teachers just kind of saying, you're slacking, right? You're slacking. I didn't have the credit, so you got me on that one, Eric. So,
Yeah.
but when I just heard that, I just said, I'm gonna go figure it out. You know what? It doesn't matter. I got to go give it at least 1% every day, right? I'm just gonna give it. I'm gonna crack at this effort. So what I decided to do was that I just started writing out a game plan one night. So literally midnight, right? When you're supposed to be in bed, you're not in bed. I had a flashlight, pen, paper. I'm just writing it out. I'm like, it has to work or it has to work. Literally, that's what I told myself. It don't matter whether, I got to stay late at school. It has to work or it has to work. I don't care if I can't go hang out with my friends anymore. It has to work or it has to work. Right. And I had to put myself in that state where I said, it's it. So graduating, that was the first thing I wanted to do. And I said, I'm going to figure out how to do it. I don't know if it'll happen. Don't know if it'll happen on time. But I had all these other obstacles, all these other things that came about where it was, where I had all these just challenges through the state, right? Because I had to pass this certain state exam, graduate, obviously pass your school, get good grades and all the other classes and good stuff, just make it happen, right? And it was just an obstacle every day because, 1 year, it was like my freshman year, I was like, okay, all you need to do is just pass this one test and you're good to go. I was like, sweet, heck yeah. By my sophomore year, they changed it. Now they upped it up to 2. Junior year, you got 3 tests. And I took advanced classes because I thought I was going to go to college. And I was like, oh, heck no. Plus, I saw the prices for college. I said 40 grand. I was like, maybe not in my pocket. So, I just put that one away. I said, maybe later, I don't know. So, but what was interesting is that I had a bunch of mentors that lived by me that was just in my life with or with not. But having that first conversation with Tyler changed it all. Because then my next door neighbor, I didn't know he was a retired vet. And that was the thing, was that he was loaded. Guy was good, right? He was fine. He was fantastic. He was in the Vietnam War. He's 70 years old. And he was like, man, I was one of the first Black people that ever made it. And I was like, okay, I got to listen to this guy more often. And he took me and literally he said, how old is a kid like me in Michigan? No, not Michigan. He was out of Chicago, South Side. He said, because I always kept giving him this same excuse of saying, it's not for me. It just won't ever work out. He's like, how does a kid like me from Southside Chicago go through a war for 10 years, get captured, all this and that, go to college, open up my own business, write a book, make everything happen? Like everything you see happen in Forrest Gump, he essentially kind of did it. And he's like, how do I do all that starting from Southside and you're here in Vancouver, Washington, probably the safest place? Tell me you can't do it. And I was like, I had no answer. I just said, I guess we'll figure it out. So that's when I started writing. I just started figuring it all out, come together. And he really mentored me in a lot of different ways, right? He mentored me in my finances before I even got my first job. He mentored me in my relationship before I even had my first relationship. And then after that, he kind of just started phasing out my life, which actually got really sad to me because I was like, oh man, well, I felt like I lost my mentor. No, he actually equipped me to be a leader. That's why he had to start leaving. And then more people started coming to my life. Guess what? I had certain teachers that started teaching me more than just, what the academic was. They started educating me on different things. Like, hey, here's how the real world's going to work. You want it or you don't. And so when I started taking their principles and applying it, man, it just started making that big thing. And even I think it was in 2017. So a year after I graduated, right? I was going to start a business. I was struggling in it. I finally succeeded in about 2018, where I was making about six figures, and I just was like, I remember there was a time I was coming out of the like casino or whatever it was. I was just doing what it was. I come out and I just started thinking, I was like, how the heck did I get here? You know, I'm like, I'm having the time of my life. I'm happy, healthy, wealthy, and I'm married. I'm happy. How did I get here right now? And I'm starting to think that I was like, I had all these different people come into play that mentored me, put me in this cycle. And I was like, well, what if I started doing that? What if I started working with some people one on one? What if I started coming to schools? What if I started working with like different people that can teach my success principles too, and be able to go out, apply, achieve the same things? Because I don't think that the access to knowledge that I had was accessible to everybody. So I started to figure out, how can I make that more accessible? So I would be start calling up schools, and originally it was like with my team, I had a whole conversation with them in like 2020, saying, "Hey guys, I mean, I'm going to work with you guys, but I'm not going to be, your boss anymore. I'm not going to be this and that. I'm out." And they're like, "What? No way." But I got to mentor a lot of those guys to grow in how they are, or kill it in the numbers that they're killing it, being able to even succeed and grow and do another business that was similar like mine and be able to do it better. But I know that's because I helped them out, and I said, "Hey, what principles did you learn from me?" Right? So I just started taking notes, like what really helped them out, what really made them felt like it. So then I decided to say, well, I might as well figure out how I could be good at what I do. So really what the term influential mentor came from was that I wanted to see what my influence was on people. Because on social media, you see them, you got those influencers, right? Come by my Starbucks. I didn't want to be that person. I wanted to be someone where it was going to be, where you would feel equipped with certain success principles that I can attest that has worked, proven, no question behind it, and that you can go out and apply the same thing and get the same results, if not better than me. So that's where I kind of got that's where everything kind of came into play. And really what's weird is it came tenfold where, I actually a couple of my teachers hit me up on Instagram recently. They found me and they're like, we love the content you put out. And I was like, I didn't even know you were paying attention. They're like, yeah, I'm glad you took that one lesson. Like there was one where I remember one of my teachers one day, he said, "Man, you got to learn how to break through." And he showed me how he punched through a box. And I was like, whoa, that stuck with me for life. So now I went to high school recently and I did the same thing for them. Oh man, there's so many kids. I feel like should just had boxes to just, hand out. Just like, hey, take a box, take a box, take a box, and just start punching it, because that's where I found my breakthrough. And that's where they helped me. That's where where it really just got interacted, man. That's where it's so exciting. I can't even fathom to, say it verbally without freaking out on it, man. So that's where the tipping point was.
I love that, because it was what you had, you're helping other people have. So when I was a kid, my mom, she had us in different programs, right? But it was like kind of dudes from church, they come in the suits, and it's like, man, who is this cornball dude? Like, you got a suit on. I don't like suits. That don't impress me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so it's crazy how like now I do what I do. So it was like those guys were putting your life, and then having an old head. That's important. People don't realize like having a older gentleman or older lady, if you're a woman, to have that older person that's gonna give you the game. Because older people, they're gonna give it to you funky. They're gonna give it to you straight, no chaser. They don't care how you feel. And then if you actually listening, you be like, okay, that makes sense. Because you said he was helping you out on everything before you even got there. So when you got there, you were prepared. He was preparing you. Like, and that's what we do. Like when we're going to the schools, or I'm in the schools, we're preparing kids for a better future so they can remember something. You ain't got to remember lesson module 5, lesson 2. No, I want you to remember something that, dang, I remember Mr. Jones told me this, and it still stuck with you. Like it's certain stuff that people said or done, it still stuck with me. And that's the important thing when you're a mentor. You want to give the kids something that sticks with them, that can help them in the long run. Because it's like being a parent, right? I remember the first time I watched Pursuit of Happiness. And I called my mom, because I tried not to cry, but I was crying. I was with my friends. We all went. And I was like, Mom, thank you. I seen like the aspect of a parent and what it was like. And then I had a son. Well, I had a daughter before that, but she wasn't mine. But she's still mine. But it's like, it's different when you see that little person come out and you hold him. And yeah, so when he came, it was like, okay, this dude depends on me. And it's like, I get where my mom, like you as a parent, you listen, ooh, Lord, you got to do everything in your power to make sure your kids straight. Even if you ain't straight, you got to make sure they straight. And that's the thing that the guy taught you, like to be prepared. Like there ain't no life guide. Okay, when you turn 25, here you go. Read this book and it'll help. No, it's from somebody telling you, or it's your experiences, or it's the lessons that you learned throughout life that you're able to help somebody else with. So I love that, man. I love how you said with the social media, because yeah, you got these influencers, they cool, then they scam or whatever.
They just
Like,
you.
I hate social media. Like, I can't wait till I get a team so they can do all that. Like, do everything for me so I don't got to get on there, so I don't get caught up in scrolling or looking. Like, nobody's going to know nothing about me. They're going to just know me as speaking and podcasting and that little stuff. They ain't going to know my family. None of that. No, you don't need to know my girl. No, you nosy. Like, we ain't on none of that. Like, it's just crazy how social media has took us to that point.
Right.
Like, it's an addiction when we don't even know it. Like, you try hard, you go to post your stuff, you go to scroll, make sure to get on there, then 20 minutes later you've been scrolling for 20 minutes. It's like, oh wow. So I love how you said you did, you start off with the one-on-one. I did a mentor program too, and it went well, and I understood the impact of it. Because like some of the kids after the program like are in jail, got arrested, stuff like that. And it's like, man, I wish I wouldn't have stopped. But COVID happened, and then just didn't pick it back up, was doing other stuff. And I'm like, man, I still talk to one kid. He always hit me up. That's my guy, but he be, hey, you think I could hold a couple? I'm like, listen here, man. I don't mind helping you out. And I gave him a real live speech. I was like, I don't mind helping you out, but you got to figure it out. Like, you got to figure out, you got to have some game plan. I understand your situation, but it's adult. You're adult now. You're it's not no more adulthood hard. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's hard as heck, and you got to figure it out. Now you can have that person that can help you, like you can have a mentee. Hey, I'm gonna help you, but hey, don't think I'm a bank ATM now. What we doing? Like, nah, I got kids of my own, and it's like you don't want to allow like them to abuse you either, because kids can abuse you by being a mentor and you helping them out, because you kind of feel sorry for kids sometimes, and then they'll try to abuse you. So with what you do now and how you're in the schools, like where give me a moment or something where you were like, I don't know if this is it. Even after you stopped doing what you're doing, like what moment, what's something that you can remember that you was like, man, skip this. I'm about to go back to this 6 figures. I don't think this is gonna work out for me. Or did that happen to you?
Yeah, I'll be real. There was a couple of times like, so I even mentored like, so I had like a big like sales and kind of business background. So I figured that's what I promoted too. So I started really working with like different sales teams, like worked with the car sales team, and I mentored the owners of it. And I was intimidating. I was just like super intimidated, like just like, hey, I'm sitting across people like they're showing up in Benzes and Porsches, and here that's the owners, right? And I'm showing up in my little like Volkswagen GTI, and I'm just like, let's hope to goodness, let's see how this goes. But I knew what I had, because I know it's like, you shouldn't be judging me based on my car, anything of my life. I'm here to bring the value to the moment. That's what's up. And where money may seem appealing to anybody else, they needed to have their marriage on track, right? Because they were both owners. They needed to have their life back on track. They're doing success, they're doing great in business, all that, but how they're not killing it in their life, right? All the money money matters, right? But money doesn't matter if it costs you your happiness, your health, anything else with that. And that was one thing where I was doing really good success in, that I could bring that in. Otherwise, even when working with people where it's like, man, I don't know how I'm gonna start up, like a podcast, man. Actually, I was watching your video before we even started this on how, you just stay committed to it. You committed a year ago about how you're gonna see your podcast through. Man, not many people see that commitment through because they just can't see it for themselves. And now it's like, sometimes I'm even like, there's points where I like kind of even doubt, like, I could always go back. But at the same time, why would I deny that? Because it's my passion after all. this is what I'm excited about. I'm excited to wake up in the morning. How can I push someone to break through to the next thing? Like, even I'll share a real moment with you, Eric. Like, with me and my girl's family, like we've never like kind of been on the same equal playing grounds whatsoever, right? But there was a talk I just did recently before I did the school, where they actually all came together and they're like, I don't even know how to put it. Like, it was like a reflection on myself, because I was telling people, so I was getting people like excited about, like, get closer to families. You don't know when your last days will last, right? Say I love you, whatever. And I remember, like, I sent them the video of it. I was like excited. It was like a little 30-second little snapshot of like a whole hour. And I sent it and I was like, I'm not even doing that with them. And I was like, and it was crazy to hear my mother-in-law saying, it means so much that you can give that to people, and while you're trying to work on it with us. And she didn't even say with any hate or like, like, oh, wish that was you. No, she said, I'm glad you're working on it. And she was speaking it into existence already. But man, yeah, no. So there's been times where I've thought about, like, just let's just drop it. There's been times, but I've always said, if I stop, somebody else doesn't hear my story. Somebody else can't go forward where they need to be, right? Like, let's just say you stop doing your podcast. You stop, someone doesn't hear your story, nobody gets to move forward from it, right? Now they're waiting till they can hear whoever the next underdog's going to be, but they have to go find them, right? They're not easily having this accessible to them. And so that's really the key point. That was the key point that's always kept me from stopping myself from quitting, essentially.
Yeah, I feel what your mother-in-law said. Like, when I do my videos, most of the time I'm talking about myself. Like, so I'm talking to myself, or it's me like motivated, like, come on, man, get you know what to do. And it's like, yeah, people don't know. Woo, when I get to that point where I can tell my story over the last few years, and people like, man, congratulate, they just don't know behind the scenes, man, rough. Like, behind the scenes is like that, like, I'm telling you, like, but you gotta, like you say, you gotta push through it. Like, you understand, like, we understand, and people that's listening need to understand. If they don't, like, it's not about where you're at. Like, think about further. I thought about a studio. I'm in one. I'm thinking about my own next. So that's the next step, and set it up how I want to. Or me speaking and going traveling and doing this, and the house. Like, you got to look at what you want. You can't sit there and wait for it. Like, take a picture. Like, as you can see behind me is my vision board. Like, I want to be able to see it every day when I wake out the bed. My bed's on the other side, and as soon as I wake up, boom, I see it. Like, I see what's going on, and as soon as I walk out my door, I got prayers and I got affirmations, because you got to have that positive thought in your brain if you want to get there. Like, I didn't realize for 30 years, like, why the heck was I born with short arms? What the heck I'm supposed to do as an adult? These people ain't hiring me. Like, I got like ideas and stuff, but it just ain't happening. And then I realized, like, I'm supposed to speak, and it's like, okay, this is cool. I love this, but you have to go through every single step. Nipsey Hussle said, you gotta instead of trying to build a brick wall in one day, lay a brick every day until you get that brick wall. And you have to work on it every day. Like, people know I don't play about I got recorded. I don't know what you got going on, but I'm not hanging out. Don't call me. I'm at the house. Oh, you don't want to hoop? I got my podcast. Like, this is what I wanted to do all year. And you got to have a why too. Yeah. You have to have, like, and part of the reason why I'm continuing and going so hard, I had a co-host. I had a podcast before this. It was called It's a Jones Thing. So I had a co-host, and then we had like 2 other co-hosts, and she ended up passing away because she got hit by a car, like, crazy. Like, this is the craziest thing, man. We had our best meeting, like our meeting that was going to take us to the next level. Like, we all, got our differences out. All right, this is a plan. This is the name. This is what we're going to do. This your job for the week. This your job. That was Thursday. Monday, it happened. It was like, and I'm sitting there like, so God, we got all these plans. We got all this stuff here. What the heck am I supposed to do now? And we didn't continue the podcast because they didn't have the same passion as I did. And I understood it. No hard feeling. We still friends, hang out all the time. So I was like, what can I call it? And the Underdogs always stuck with me, and that's where I ran with it. So it's kind of like what you always had a mentor. You always were in the mentor field. So it was only right for you to be a mentor. And sometimes we don't really realize it until you're in the moment. Maybe a few years ago, maybe recently, you're like, man, I really been around, man. I get it. Like you get it as you get into that moment of, like you said, there's more.
Yeah.
There's more. There's always more. Like if I ain't a billionaire, it's more. It's more. And it's like those tough days, though, when you're in those situations where life is fucked up around you, but you got that mentality of I'm still working, and then boom, the opportunity happens for you.
Yeah.
And like you said, if you stop, somebody else gonna stop. If I stop, my son gonna stop. He gonna be like, well, you stop speaking, you stop doing the podcast. Well, I can't stop playing basketball. What I'm supposed to say? Well, you're right. All right, you got a point. Go ahead, quit.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, man, I was you got me pumped up when you were talking. It'd be hard, like when you're a speaker and you're on a podcast and you're like, okay, I don't want to talk too much, but then it'd be points where you just have that moment where that stuff come over you. Yeah. But I love how what you were saying. That's what made me go to that way. So what are you doing? What's going on with you now? Like what you're doing going in schools and all that. You don't have to tell all your business, but just tell people how's it looking for you, and then we'll go from there. I got the tips and the quote.
Yeah, absolutely. So right now what I'm working on is I'm actually going to be doing a little bit of traveling coming up. Florida's maybe in that option. I'm going to be out there hanging out with some family for a minute. After that, I'm going to be in Illinois. I'm going to be working with my brother on a little bit with him and his business side of things. He owns a real estate business. He's a broker out that way in Chicago. So me and him, we're going to kind of work, kind of just make some connections while we're out there. I'm already going to be speaking per se, but there's going to be there's an event for it, but I'm more excited about like who's going to be in that room, just making those connections. And then after that, I got a little bit of window to come speak for an event for a university out here, like a local university, being able to speak for a big event called the Boys and Girls Club. And I'm excited to be able to even bring some value to that. Honestly, that's what kind of like the big, snapshot for like the first quarter. If you ask me what the second, third quarter is, man, we're talking, it's going to get spicy. Like we're going to Utah. I'm working closely with my mentor this year, and as he retires, he's passing the torch on to me. So a lot of big things going on right now, man.
I love it because the whole time you were smiling. I could see you happy about everything that you're doing, man. So I love that. I love that you get to travel. Like traveling is dope. I can't wait till I get to that point with the speaking and get to travel and with the podcast and travel. Because you get to learn different stuff just from different cultures and going different places and different stuff like that. So it's real happy to do that. Like you just was like, man, I'm doing this, and that. And that's how I was. That's how I am. I ain't went quarter by quarter yet. I just been going month. I went month, and then I'm gonna go from there. Like January's been a good ass month for me. I got my first speaking. I haven't spoke like in person in a minute. Really? Like because I became a teacher. So I'm a new teacher. I can't be like, hey guys, well, I need this day. So I've been having to work. So it's kind of been hard. So it's a mentor program, and they have a workshop. It's called New Year, New Me. But it's a new year, a new improve old me. That's how I'm going to approach it to them. And it's a workshop, so it's something new for me. So I can't just go up there and talk for 30 minutes. I got to have activities, different stuff where they're still learning. So it was a challenge for me to get it because now I'm a teacher. I know how to do it. I know how to put it together. That's why God put me in there, because I don't got no degree. I shouldn't be no teacher, but God put me in there to teach me certain things. So now I can do it. So I love that you already got your year planned out. You everywhere. He said it's spicy. He said he about to have a good old time. And I love that. So give us, and hold on, before we do that, we got to shout
Mhm.
out Tyler because he was on the podcast. I think his episode is actually coming up next week.
Oh.
And he did, I don't think he connected us, but because me and him were followed each other, you followed me, we talked, and that's how the connection came. So shout out to him, the underdog mentality, shout out to him.
Hmm.
So I need 3 tips for people that just give us 3 tips. I don't know. You're a mentor, you're an influencer,
Uh,
you're it's the beginning of the year. It'll be like February when this drops. So give us some 3 tips that people can work with. Okay, the workout high went down. The high of whatever they had going in January went down. Now they need a push. What are
mm.
3 tips when they hear this? They can take it and they can run with it.
I'd first off figure out what do you want more than anything. Write down exactly what it is you want. Don't worry about your pre-circumstances. Don't worry about what's going on right now. Don't worry about what's going on with the game. Get serious with yourself and get intense about exactly what you want. Even if it's selfish, get selfishly desirable. Like, man, I really want to make $1 million. Are you doing the $1 million habits right now? Man, I really want to get in shape. Man, where's the time? Find the time. 15 minutes. Go get on the stairs. I'm about to do that myself. So get really definitive on what you want, and then get carrying on with it. Number 2, I'd say really get connected and get aligned. Get around the right people, the right association. You will become the person of these 2 things by the books you read and the people you associate with. Man, you gotta start hanging around people that are just your level. Start going to the next level. As a rocket ship shoots up into orbit, it has to break off the thrusters because the thrusters can no longer stay on where the rocket is destined to go to. If I'm going for the moon, I can't hang on to everything. I can't hang on to this baggage. I have to let this baggage go. I have to let some of these friends that are no longer empowering me go. They may have been here for my life for a short season, or they might be my life for a reason. That's not up for me. That's for the universe and God to decide that. And man, I just have to carry on and realize what my destination is. And lastly, get spiritually connected. Get connected with yourself. Get connected with God. See where you are at right now and where you need to go. The best person, the best teacher, the best guidance you will find in that book. You will find in the Word. I'm telling you what. Like that honestly I think would say was a pivotal point for me is knowing that there's a higher power than myself. I believe it's Norman Vincent Peale that says prayer is the thing where our oh my goodness, I'm gonna chop it up. Prayer comes in where the human capacity can no longer go. Those are my 3 tips.
Yeah, I love it. And that's the same thing with me when I started reading a book and getting closer with God because it was COVID. There's nobody else around. And that's when I like the pivotal point of change and like really understanding and getting back on the hump because I got divorced and I lost everything. Everything is like boom, rock bottom for real. And it was like, all right, okay, it's nobody around, God. You up there? Hey, I know we don't talk often, but I'm here to have a conversation with you. And that was the big part, like where I understood like that relationship is important, more important than all the other relationships because that relationship's going to connect you to the right relationships. And I like what you said, align yourself with the right people. Sometimes it's hard, man. No lie, like you got your homies, your friends. It's like you don't want to leave. It's not even where their mindset ain't where it's at. It's like maybe what they're doing, they still have a lot of the old, they still back there. And it's like, man, you don't want to leave them. But Nipsey said it, everybody can't go. And it's like, you just got to keep going. And at some point, the relationship, it doesn't separate. It's more of a clarity. It's
Mm-hmm.
more of a, you understand what the kind of relationship is. It's like, all right, hey, bro, I'm just busy, 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 but we can hang out then. Like, it's not where it's like, I'm doing this. We ain't cool no more. But you have to understand that your family can't go with you.
Mm-hmm.
Your bestie day one. When it comes to business, separate it. Separate
Mm-hmm.
it. You don't want to, and you gotta, and like you said, you gotta have align yourself and it's like having different mentors in different areas. You can't just oh, I got a life coach. Okay.
Oh yeah,
You
no.
gotta have a relationship coach. You gotta have a finance coach. You
Mm-hmm.
gotta have a business coach. You gotta have like a counselor where you can you gotta have all kinds of people that you can talk to that can help
Mm-hmm.
you, because there's different areas in your life that you have to master to be good at and great at. So I love that. Like you really, and even books. I'm trying, man.
You got it.
I'm not a big book reader. I the last book I read and I'm almost finished is UOU by E.T. And then I
Mm.
got the Nipsey book. I've been watching his videos lately. I bought his book and I started it, so I'm like, it's a reason why he keep like popping up. So I'm gonna finish reading that book, but I'm not. I don't know why. Like I forgot. It was somebody on here. I was listening to something. It was like, you got to get books you like, and I'm like, I do, but it's just something about reading that doesn't excite me. I'm a visual learner. Like, give you an example, and then you can give us your quote.
Mm.
So I'm a teacher. They tell us to do all this stuff. It's new to me. I go to the lady office. I'm not replying to this email because this email is not about to help me. I need you to explain it. I need to look you in your face. You need to tell me. I need to hear you say it. Okay, so I can say, oh, this is what I need to do. Like that emailing and stuff. That's why texting. Yeah, I need face to face. I need you. I need to talk to you. And she was like, okay, I get it. And I don't care if I look crazy. Don't. Hey, one tip for people, extra. This a bonus. Ask the question. No question is a dumb question. Ask the question. And I don't want to keep rambling. We need a quote.
Mm.
It could be your quote. It could be
Yeah.
somebody else's, but we need a quote.
Yeah, no, I'll give you no. This is probably one of my favorite things, and it's something that you actually mentioned about in the beginning. Just when it came to about being you, be true to yourself. Is when you truly become, when you truly become your truest self, you create and allow everybody else to become who they need to be.
That's tough because yeah, it's true. It's
Yeah,
true.
we all put on the front. We all, and I'm gonna tell you what, from going to California to come up to here, I thought I had to put on the front for the longest time. I thought it was nerdy to play video games, man. And let me tell you, these hands got like over 600 hours on video games. I'm like just Madden, NBA. You got me on this, and honestly, it opened up so many doors around everybody around me. Like I could go in there, but it'd probably be like another hour. So
Yeah. I
I'll just
already
leave it
know
on that.
you where the money at. I know big money in Seattle. I know it's technology, good stuff. Yeah, you were. I know a few people that stay out there in the technology world. I never was a gamer though. I
Mm.
never we didn't. My mom wouldn't game. But you don't need no game, boy. Get out of here. You better go outside. So my son's different. He got a game system. He be so mad because I be kicking his butt. It's like, dude, I don't care how good you get. I do this on the game. I just don't play it often. But I like what you said. Like you got to be your truest self, and you got to understand that everybody ain't gonna like you. Everybody's not gonna like. I know it's a lot of people that I work with at the school that don't like me, and I don't care because don't none of them sign my check.
Mm-mm.
So it's okay if people don't like you. I tell people this all the time. Everybody didn't like Jesus. So everybody ain't gonna like you. Like
Exactly.
everybody not gonna like you. So man, I love what you do. I appreciate you because you're helping people. You haven't, you help people all over. You help change people's lives. So I appreciate what you do, man,
Yeah.
and appreciate you reaching out. Like I love that. Like when people reach out and then you get to meet new people
Mm-hmm.
and get to have good conversation. This was a great conversation. I always try to give people their flowers while they're on the show because I don't just get anybody. I get people that actually have, leave an impact. Tell people how they can reach you, and then like I gotta figure out something besides closing word. That always sound like church. But tell people how they can reach you and then give us a short like little closeout.
Yeah, I mean, real quick, just before I do, I mean, hey, Eric, I appreciate you for having me on here, man. This has been a big opportunity and amazing, especially your big blessing, being a teacher. And man, that's something I don't think my capacity would allow me to. I don't think I want to grow that capacity quite yet. Children, that's a whole nother story. I probably best way for people to reach me is they can reach me on email, just deontaeperacca@gmail.com, or you can reach me out on Instagram, same thing, Facebook, Deontae Peracca. I mean, I keep my stuff pretty simple. I'm pretty much a straight shooter. Otherwise, you can also check out my website. You won't believe it, DeontaePeracca.com. I mean, hey, I keep it easy. I mean, I have my easy button over here, and I think someone took it from me. So I just wanted to hit it and be like, that was easy.
Give us something to close out with.
Yeah, man. That's always good closeout. Man, you guys follow Eric Jones. Follow Eric Jones Jr. Plug in this podcast. Take everything you can from this guy. This guy's got a heart of gold. Don't measure him by his arms. Measure him by his heart. He's growing, and he's gonna be changing the world out here. It's stop one person at a time, one city at a time, one state at a time, one country at a time. Best believe it.
And on that note, peace.